There's so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too. They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they pledge you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week, we wrap up January of 1990 and head into February of 1990.
We're really cooking through the 90s.
Look at this. We were in 1989 for so long, but yes, we are moving through 1990 as we watch today a weird mix of things that the Muppets were up to in early 1990, including an episode of The Cosby Show, Joan Gans Cooney being inducted into the Television Hall of Fame, the Disneyland 35th anniversary celebration, and an extremely brief clip of a confusing British television show.
Yeah, well, I'm going to need some more context for why we watched that one. But it is kind of weird to think that in January of 1990, you could see the Muppets 4 different times on your television. That feels like it wouldn't happen now, right?
Yeah, this made me happy and sad this week, which I think maybe I said last week too. Recently, at least I said. But this was a more extreme version of that because I think we have some top tier Muppet content this week, like some great Gonzo, some great Miss Piggy moments this week that feel like a little bit of a throwback in some ways. And if we were getting this Muppet stuff now, I feel like it would lend credence to sort of a Muppet renaissance. And
right. If they showed up 3 times
well,
on television.
I think more the quality rather than the actual how many times they show up. Because, we'll get to it. But even the Cosby Show episode is pretty enjoyable.
Unfortunately, it's okay.
Yeah. Like, you wouldn't imagine that mixing Bill Cosby and the Jim Henson Hour would result in something we would talk positively about.
And actually, the Muppet, there's like parts of the Bill Cosby thing. Did you watch the whole thing of that?
I did.
Yeah, there's parts of that are like, this sucks. But the Muppets are the best part, actually. Like, the Muppets save the episode, I think. So.
Yeah, I don't remember watching much Cosby Show as a child, but rewatching this now is like, this was like the biggest show in the world?
Is this what comedies were back then?
This isn't funny.
No.
But the audience is laughing really loudly in some parts, and Bill Cosby's saying words like they're supposed to be funny.
Yeah. Well, and the Cheers clip, I know you didn't watch the whole Disney thing, but the Cheers clip at the beginning of that is funny, even though it's like not even actually Cheers. They are making jokes. They can be recognized as jokes.
I think the Cosby Show is more similar to if you go back and watch Full House, where it's like, this was the family sitcom style.
Yeah, right.
But I think, hearing the news of Disney buying the Muppets, seeing Kermit pop up on a Christmas parade and seeing Miss Piggy and Gonzo, like if you're hearing all of this rumbling about the Muppets in early 1990 and seeing them pop up in new places, I would be really excited and think something big is coming.
If there were Muppet podcasts back then, we would have been abuzz.
Yeah, I am sure there are zines from the era that are very excited about what's happening. And unfortunately, what we know is the future is that in just a few months, Jim Henson passes away and all of this comes to a screeching halt.
Yeah, I wonder what the alternate universe where they bought the Muppets at this time and have had them for so long looks like.
We've talked before about what this time leading up to Jim's death looks like. And now that we're sort of in that, this early 1990 time period, I totally see how this would have been derailing a lot of the plans for like the crassest way to say it. This really does feel like they are ramping up to stuff. And, they're talking about more theme park things and they're talking about more movies and being made with Disney. And I think if you look back at what we had watched in like 88, 89, when the Muppets were sort of doing less and sort of floundering in some ways when it comes to like the Jim Henson Hour and other like Ghost of Fafner Hall, for me, it was hard to picture why Disney would buy that and what they would really do with it. But now that we're seeing more of this stuff from the early 90s, I'm like, oh, this is exactly headed in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's like probably not really the direction that Jim had his way, the Jim Henson Hour would have worked, and he would be getting to be like a creative genius and making whatever he wanted to.
Yeah.
But what we see a lot in this stuff, I think, is Muppet Show nostalgia, where like the end of the Cosby Show episode is set in the Muppet Theater, basically, like as best they could recreate it. Which I think Jim probably is kind of like, I guess that's just what people want. So I'll go down to Florida and hang out for a while and make some stuff with Kermit. And that kind of sounds comforting in a way, too. It just sounds like he's like, okay, people just like this stuff. So I'll go into soft retirement in my little Florida community.
Well, and I'm sure we would have still gotten, another sort of Dark Crystal Labyrinth-y kind of thing that he would have pushed forward. I'm sure we would have gotten more weird Dog City type spin-off-y shows.
Disney would have said, sure, Jim, go ahead. Here's a big bundle of money. You can make something.
Yeah, he would have been the one making that Alice's Adventures in Wonderland show.
Same exact thing popped into my head right as you started saying it. I was like, oh yeah, he would have made, it probably would have been a little less terrifying, but just a little bit less terrifying. Because in my head, that show feels like Fraggle Rock, sort of. Like there's a similar, like the Gorg Garden and the place they hang out in that show feels similar to me. I don't know if that's accurate, but maybe it's just a fake sky and like I don't know.
It's like one of those sets that is not really trying to fool you into thinking like we're outside. Like you can very clearly be like, okay, I'm gonna trust that we're outside because we were supposed to be for the plot, but like I can see the wall. Well, I did want to note something that I'm sure loyal listeners might expect us to talk about soon, and we will try, I promise. But there's something that happens in the world of Muppet media where the day we record a catch-up grab bag episode like we did last time, it sends out a signal to the world to find a bunch of new things, so that way we look like dopes.
Yeah, we look like we're behind the times.
Literally, the day after we recorded our last catch-up Jimmy Dean Muppets Make Puppets episode, somebody posted to archive.org the unseen, unaired Muppet Show pilot that you could previously only watch at the Paley Center in New York. And that's like a holy grail Muppet media item here. Like that everyone has talked about wanting to watch forever. We've heard stories from what it's like with Fozzie's weird voice and different, behaviors from the characters and different plot lines from the original show. And you know what? That would have been perfect to watch with other Jimmy Dean stuff and other Muppet Puppet stuff. But now we're in this weird limbo area where I want to watch it, but we don't have another catch-up episode.
Let's watch it next week. Why not?
What if we just stopped and watched it right now and did a live commentary?
That we could live stream it. We could.
Well, we'll watch it soon. I'm not exactly sure when or where, if it's going to fit into our plans.
Have you watched it yet?
I have watched some snippets of it, and my first note would be a lovely amount of Hilda.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Very weird to hear Fozzie's John Wayne voice throughout the whole episode.
Because they recut parts of the thing in that cowboy sketch is in there, and Fozzie's like, here's my accent. What do you think?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they added in the line to the version we see. This is the Juliet Prowse episode of the Muppet Show that they did. And we see a couple of her numbers are the same as they were in the pilot. Like they used the same one. But yes, they added some lines in to make some of those sketches that they had already filmed make sense. And yeah, Fozzie had found more of his real Fozzie voice by the time they actually started making the show. So they excuse it by him doing a John Wayne impression.
What a weird choice to
pretty
make.
Good cover.
What a weird choice to make in the first place, to make him sound like that.
For sure, because you go watch his like stand-up bit now in the unaired pilot, and he just sounds like that.
Oh, he's
And
still a
it's-
stand-up. I guess I assumed
Yeah.
maybe he
Oh,
wasn't
no.
still a
He's
stand-up.
Fozzie in every way,
Okay.
except the voice is John Wayne, essentially.
Weird. Okay.
And it's just like, hey, Kermit, I'm going to do my stand-up now. And you're like, oh, this character would not have taken off if he's like, waka, waka.
Oh no, that's scary.
But my other takeaways were that Kermit is, what's the nice word for it? This isn't a nice word, but more lecherous.
Oh no.
He's hitting on at least a few different people just from me skimming it in a more of like hitting on the backup dancers on the set of like kind of like a I'm your boss kind of guy.
Yeah, I feel like that tracks with what we had seen of him up till that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think it happens more than you would expect, not just with the guest.
Okay.
And I think my other big note was that Statler and Waldorf, I think, feel a little slower and they're playing them more old.
Okay.
And not as like smart and snappy.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. But
We'll watch it.
Yeah. And especially because there are some bits that are the same. We don't have to necessarily talk about the full episode, just the parts that are different. So I might tack it on to an episode that we're doing in a couple of weeks that has some sort of, unfinished, unrelaced kind of stuff.
This is the kind of hard-hitting, up to the moment news that you get from her.
Yeah, something that happened 2 weeks ago on Muppet social media. You're hearing about a week or two after you maybe have heard about it for the first time.
And then we won't watch it for like a month.
Correct. Yeah. So don't forget this happened. Well, Sam, this seems as good a time as any for me to ask the age-old question. What do we watch this week?
First, we watched an episode of The Cosby Show that aired on January 11th, 1990, titled Cliff's Nightmare. Dr. Cliff Huxtable gets home at 2 a.m. from a long day of delivering babies, and he's hungry. So he makes himself a big, spicy, stinky sausage sandwich and takes it up to his bedroom. His wife, Claire, wakes up from how stinky the sandwich is and tells him not to eat it or he'll be sorry, like if he eats it right before bed. Cliff eats it anyway, goes to sleep, and immediately has a crazy dream. He mostly dreams about his family doing different weird things, but eventually the Muppets invade his dream, dragging him away to a monster hospital to fix weird patients like Digit and to deliver a monster baby live on stage. Luckily, the monster escapes before the delivery can start, and Cliff seemingly wakes up the next morning. He goes to his fridge and opens it up, discovering it to be full of Muppet food that heckles him. Which, is that real? Or is he still dreaming?
I don't know how to
Dude
answer
had Muppet
that.
food the whole time?
I'm going to assume that's maybe a part of his continued dream.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool, though, if in your show everything was normal except that you could, like, talk to the food in the fridge?
Well, it
You
feels
got an
like
onion in there that's mean to you?
Yeah, it feels like that Unhappily Ever After show where the guy had the bunny puppet friend in the
Right.
basement that nobody else knew he had.
Did we watch that? We didn't watch that. Did
No,
we?
we've talked about it because it's one of those weird 90s puppet shows that's real nasty.
Yeah, right. I think we watched the nastiest one with the Lost on Earth or whatever it was called.
I mean, you'd think so, but
I don't think it could get nastier than that, but okay.
Bobcat Goldthwait is the voice of the bunny.
I love Bobcat Goldthwait. I think his voice is adorable.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying his sense of humor is very mid 90s.
I guess that's true. Well, maybe we'll watch it for our birthdays, which are coming right up, Matt.
Oh, don't remind me.
It comes faster and faster.
We're about
every
to be
year.
Stan Lee age.
Oh, I forgot. Well, we got to start inventing.
There's a lot of
various
pressure
men.
next
Yeah.
year.
I've been thinking of more bugs, but I'm just coming up short. Scorpion? Is that one?
Sam. There's definitely a scorpion.
I know.
He's in the trailer for the new Spider-Man movie.
Then we watched a clip from a TV special called The New Statesman, Who Shot Alan Bastard, which aired in January 14th, 1990. The show The New Statesman is like a British TV show, from what I gather. It's about a
Correct.
conservative British politician and his various misadventures. Kind of Veep, I think. Veep before Veep. And this special in particular is about him, Alan Bastard, faking an assassination attempt. But we didn't watch it all. We just watched a few seconds long clip where a man has a dream that the person he's sleeping next to is a monster, and then she rips his face off. Is this a Creature Shop thing? Is that why we watch this?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
one of the sort of earlier examples. We can talk about this just right now because there's not much to say.
Because it was like maybe less than 10 seconds long.
Yeah. But yeah, as Sam said, the New Statesman sitcom aired on ITV from 1987 to 1994. And much like a lot of British TV shows, there was different series / seasons, whatever you want to call them, as well as specials in between seasons. And this was one of the specials that aired between a couple of seasons. And so this was, I watched the whole like first few minutes of this leading up to this moment. It is not necessarily like more understandable if you watch what leads up to it.
I feel like there's a good chance you'd have to know a lot about British politics to get a lot out of this, but maybe
there's definitely some jokes happening in there because there's like a Margaret Thatcher parody, not a parody. I think it's supposed to be her, but an actress playing her who hits this dude in the balls with her purse.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, right after he freaks out about being having his face ripped off. But what we see is that the show starts with Alan Bastard seemingly being assassinated, and then this guy Pierce, who is having bad dreams about Alan Bastard as a ghoul. Essentially, he sees him pop out of his grave, and then he imagines him as his wife sleeping next to him in bed. And
so that was the rotting body of Alan Bastard.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Yes, and so he's sort of being haunted by the memory of this guy. And what we see is the scene where his wife / ghost of Alan Bastard grabs his face and, not unlike a scene from the Odyssey, stretches and pulls his skin in different directions as his eyes bulge out, and ultimately pulls his skin completely off his face, revealing the bloody musculature underneath.
That was scary. This is the scariest thing we've ever watched on Commitment, I think.
I mean, that might be true. It's very, very gruesome.
Yeah.
But the Jim Henson's Creatures Workshop was credited on screen for special effects mask. So they're the ones who made the stretchy, scary face.
A ripped off human face and all the stretching. Yeah, right. Then we watched a part of the Television Hall of Fame induction ceremony, which aired on January 24th, 1990. In the part we watched, Joan Gans Cooney is inducted for her work on Sesame Street, and it all kicks off with an introductory poem by Big Bird, and then a bunch of clips and stuff like that. And then she gets on stage and tells charming stories about her charmed life. Then we watched the Disneyland.
Sorry, I have to interrupt because I want more stories in this world to start off with. And it opens with a poem from Big Bird. I want that to be the universe we live in, of just like, oh yeah, I went and saw Hadestown this weekend. It opened with a poem by Big Bird.
With a poem by Big Bird. Yes, right. If he was like the poet laureate of America and like every piece of culture kicked off with that, like...
He can just play the king in Hamilton for one day.
Before the Odyssey, it's like a spotlight. Doof, Big Bird. He reads like the first few lines of...
Yeah, he reads the line that's on the, apparent magic or whatever the line is on the screen.
Yeah. He's got to sound some of it out a little bit. Apparent's a pretty big word for Big Bird.
And he doesn't even have a parent.
No. I've actually never really thought about that. What happened? Where did he come from?
I mean, he's got a grandma.
Oh, God. He's like a Peter Parker kind of situation. His parents died under mysterious circumstances.
Yeah, and they don't really want to talk about it.
They're actually alive and they're super spies.
Well, it depends on which Big Bird movie you watch. You watch the Andrew Garfield Big Bird movie, yes.
Is that in that? They're spies in that?
There's something they're up to.
Oh, interesting.
Because they're working with Dr. Connors on some
yes,
shit.
That's right. Right, on the Sinister Six basement that he finds. Anyway. Actually, one of the biggest fights I ever got in with my wife was about the second movie. Yeah. Because I was like, that sucked. And she was like, are you kidding me? I loved that.
Well, I'm Team Sam.
We really got in a big fight about it. But the Green Goblin in that, remember Dane DeHaan? He was everywhere for like 10 seconds.
Where'd he go?
I don't know. He made that bad movie where he's in space. You remember? Do you see that one?
I didn't.
Valerian.
But you keep talking about what we watched, and I'm going to look up Dane DeHaan.
Okay. Then we watched the Disneyland 35th anniversary celebration, which once again didn't write the air date down for. Matt, what's the air date?
Hold on. I got to close up my Dane DeHaan tab. It was February 4th, 1990.
Oh, wow. We're already in February of 1990.
We are in February, about to spend Valentine's Day with Tony Danza himself.
We might talk more about this special. Well, maybe I will because Matt didn't watch it. But in the part that we watched with the Muppets, it features Tony Danza talking to Miss Piggy, asking her about her earliest Disneyland memory, which was her going to the park for the first time and seeing Cinderella and deciding that she wanted to be a Disney princess too. So she goes and applies for a job at the castle to try to become a princess, but she ends up as a scullery maid and then quickly meets her fairy god thing. Is that what they call him? Fairy god thing? Gonzo, who tries to help her in her various schemes to get into the princess parade, which surprisingly all works out in the end.
Dane DeHaan, who's 40, by the way. I thought he was younger than us for sure.
What the hell? Yeah, I thought he was too.
He was in Oppenheimer. I forgot about that.
He was in Oppenheimer.
He's still around. He's still doing things.
Dane, I don't dislike Dane DeHaan.
No, as far as we know, Dane DeHaan is fine.
Great hedging, Matt. You're right.
Well, we got a lot going on this week with people we watched on our screens.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to preface that if Dane DeHaan sucks,
yeah,
we don't. This is not a Dane DeHaan fandom podcast, so we don't know a whole lot about the guy.
he doesn't have a controversy section of his Wikipedia, but
That's a great start.
That doesn't necessarily mean anything.
His kids' names are Bowie and Bert, which is pretty good.
Oh,
Bert Apollo DeHaan.
Bert Apollo.
Yeah,
Okay,
great strong child name.
Bert.
Well, getting away from Dane DeHaan, I want to talk quickly about the 90s because we are in them, Sam. Specifically, we are in January of 1990. The month that Tremors is released
Oh,
to the world. Yeah.
wow.
Also in January 1990, Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You is released.
Uh-huh.
And They Might Be Giants released their album Flood. One notable thing that also came up about 1990 that I found was this was the peak year for cassette tape sales in the United States.
Oh, and then CDs came along pretty soon thereafter, or what?
Yeah, with apparently sales declined every year since 1990.
Huh. Okay.
But in the world of the Muppets in 1990, it's a mixed bag of good and bad news. Muppet Vision 3D is filmed in January of 1990. The first Sesame Street General Store opens up, which is not a thing that I knew existed at all. But yeah, this was apparently a chain of stores that had Sesame Street merch with other Henson and CTW and PBS property merch. And it had play spaces in there, like a wall where kids could draw on it, a thing called
cool.
Big Burn's Learning and Listening Library, a garage/clubhouse to play in, and a stage where kids could go up and perform.
But it was a store.
It was a
like-
store. The outside looked a bit like Hooper's store in some malls. They had an
cool.
animatronic Oscar outside of some of the stores.
What?
Yeah. My favorite thing about the animatronic Oscar is because he could just basically pop up and then pop down. He wasn't like a full moving, he didn't talk necessarily, except he did when he was in the trash can.
Oh, they didn't want to spring for the mouth moving mechanism.
One of the lines I saw from a recording of this said, "I'm not going to talk when I come out of this trash can and you can't make me."
That's really funny. That's a very good Carol Spinney ad lib, I feel like.
Yeah. It's good problem solving.
Yeah.
But yeah, much like the Disney Store, which I think was cropping up around the same time.
Yes, this was and the Warner Brothers. Let us not forget the Warner Brothers Studio Store, Matt.
But they had screens showing Sesame Street episodes, a bunch of exclusive merch. The first stores were opened up in California in 1990, and they had a deal to open up 300 stores by 2002.
Wow, what happened?
They didn't. They opened about a dozen stores across the country by 1996, and by 1998, all of them were closed.
There was such a beautiful. By 1998, that's even kind of early. I feel like for the death of malls.
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely just didn't work as a concept on its own, not necessarily. If I had to say, I would think maybe the prime audience for a Sesame Street store is maybe not the same age as people who chill at the mall.
Yeah.
And like, granted, parents go to the mall too, but I don't know. I feel like the Disney store just has that like slightly older crowd.
Yeah.
In like 8-year-olds that like
and
maybe
then the
were
cool 8-year-olds go to the Warner Brothers Studio Store.
Sam really wants you to know that he went to the Warner Brothers Studio.
It was like
store.
going to church. I love to go because Bugs Bunny was there.
Yeah, but it didn't have a giant pile of stuffed animals like the Disney store did.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I do remember that.
Yeah. But one of the other things that happened in 1990 with the World of Muppets is that they released an NES game called Big Bird's Hide and Speak Apparently, according to Muppet Wiki, it's one of the earliest examples of a video game that featured voice acting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It featured the digitized voice of Carol Spinney as Big Bird. This was showcased as a selling point on the packaging, which marketed it as the first talking video game for the NES.
Wow. I mean, this was right at the end of its lifespan, so I guess they had figured out a bunch of stuff they could do.
Kind of nuts that, at least marketing-wise, the first talking video game for NES, and, leading to now imagining a video game without voice acting is impossible.
I want to listen to the voice.
Yeah,
It's going to sound really scary. Because voice acting sounded really scary on the Super Nintendo, so... Oh, actually sounds amazing. Whoa, it sounds really good. Maybe I'll insert him saying it, because the different characters come out, and he just says their names.
Okay, let me listen real quick. And the audience can listen at the same time.
Choose a game. Find Grover. Wow! You found Grover. Now find Ernie. Yay! You found Ernie.
What the heck? This
That
sounds
rules.
pretty good, right?
That rules. And like the theme song, the Sesame Street theme song is in there.
Yeah. How did they do this?
I don't know. It does sound like his voice like is coming through a keyboard of some sort. And like it seems like Carol Spinney had to.
Yeah.
It's very robotic in a way where it sounds like he had to say every word individually.
Yeah.
Like he's not flowing when he's talking, but it sounds great. And there's a like full walkthroughs of this game on YouTube in pretty high quality. So for the music alone and the voice acting, I would definitely go check that out.
I bet you're right that they digitized.
You had to record like
it
a word at a time or something.
Mm-hmm. Or even like a sound.
Yeah, just, hey, Carol, say every sound. We'll figure it out later.
Well, it's like, it's like say L, say Mo, and then we'll use that at a few different places.
I have to find a lot more like reasons to use those two syllables.
Hello. Would you like to learn some Mo?
My Elmo hurts. Did you say Elmo?
No.
Mo. Mo. I didn't. Guys, we forgot to get N. We forgot N. We forgot B. Elsewhere and sadder in the world of 1990, Northern Calloway passes away in January of 1990, something that we've talked about a few times here on the podcast, so we won't get into too much detail this time. But yeah, Northern Calloway does pass away in January of 1990. And on another sad note, we have to acknowledge that we are discussing Bill Cosby this week. For people who aren't as old as us, you may be less familiar with Bill Cosby from this era. When we were young, he was like a TV institution known as America's Dad. But nowadays, most people know him as a disgraced comedian who has had dozens of allegations of sexual assault made against him, ultimately leading to a 2018 conviction. And he spent some time in prison. Over 60 women have accused him of various offenses, and we're not going to go into, all of his time in court and the millions of dollars he has paid out. But we, have to acknowledge Bill Cosby, horrible human.
Bad guy.
And somebody who shows up multiple times in the things we watch this week.
Yeah, loomed large over the 90s.
Yeah.
He was everywhere. Why did they take a second to shout him out in the Joan Gans Cooney thing? Is it because he's going to show up later and induct her officially? Is that what? Because like there's part of it where they're like, and Bill Cosby was in Sesame Street too. You remember that? Did
you watch the whole thing? He's in there. He talks.
No, I know, but like they specifically stop and say like, and he was there too. I know he talks later, but is that why they say that earlier?
I would imagine so. I think they were just trying to pull clips to give you a hint of why he was there.
Okay.
Because otherwise you see him pop up and you're like, okay, yeah, we know this guy, but why is he talking about Joan Gans Cooney?
Yeah. I mean, he could have said, but he didn't. And maybe that's why they added it in, because he could have said, and I was in Sesame Street too.
Yeah, he didn't seem to acknowledge that much at all, but he was on Sesame Street a lot back in the day.
Kind of living in a liminal space between being Cliff and being Bill, I feel like, in that thing. So yeah, maybe.
He's like, am I this girl's father or just her co-star?
Yeah,
like, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be acting like right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is not the last time we will have to discuss Bill Cosby. He is, as Sam said, he looms large in the 90s, and he will continue to interact with Sesame Street Muppets. Well, as Sam mentioned previously, the first thing we watched this week was an episode of The Cosby Show that aired on January 11th, 1990, called Cliff's Nightmare. This was directed by Tony Singletary, but notably, the story here is by Bill Prady and Jim Lewis.
Bill Prady is freaking everywhere. Did he work on the show already? Or was he does done Muppet stuff before, right?
Yeah, Bill Prady and Jim Lewis are both Muppet writers.
Okay.
And Bill Prady nowadays is known for some little shows like, The Big Bang Theory.
Did he work on the Cosby Show regularly, or was this like a...
I believe this is a one-off for him and Jim Lewis both. I think they were brought in to make this Muppety.
Maybe even like mid or after wrapping the first season of Jim Henson Hour, they were like, and now it's the big crossover with the Cosby Show, the two biggest shows in the world colliding.
Yeah, well, so this episode was originally produced as part of the 5th season of the Cosby Show.
Okay.
It doesn't end up airing until like middle of 6th season.
But they filmed it.
They filmed this in April of 1989.
What the heck? Okay. So people have maybe like even different haircuts in the rest of this season.
Well, so they hoped to use this as an episode for cross promotion for the Jim Henson Hour.
Oh, okay.
Because
so
they were
during that season it was filmed, it would have aired, but then they were like, "Nah, this is just embarrassing. Now we're gonna give it some space."
I believe that is the case.
Okay.
But as we know now, Jim Henson Hour was not long for this world. So they would have filmed this in the same month where the first 3 episodes of Jim Henson Hour were coming out.
Okay.
So this show just debuted. They're like, we love this thing. Let's film a Cosby crossover and get it out as soon as possible. And then within like a month, they were like, uh-oh.
Yeah, they were like, the least viewed show on the network, right? And then they said, no.
Not just the network, Sam, I believe. Yeah,
in all of the world. Yeah.
No one watched this.
You know what? I kind of missed the Jim Henson Hour.
You bite your tongue.
Well, we had to watch Fafner Hall right after it. So I do think that.
I think we got the perfect amount of Jim Henson Hour this week.
Yeah, that's true.
But Jim Henson himself was too busy with the Jim Henson Hour.
That's the theme of this week, I feel like, also, is Jim can't be there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But it's fine. I think it's fine. He was too busy, so he's not in this episode at all, which is why at one point Bill Cosby stands in for Waldorf. There is no Waldorf next to Statler, but I guess they were like, we gotta have Statler.
Yeah, that is what, or maybe they wrote it like Statler and Waldorf are going to be there, and then for some reason they couldn't trim that one line out of it.
Yeah,
it would have been good to have him there, and they could have shot that in the intervening year. They could have got Jim to say one line, maybe.
Yeah, that could have been a voiceover line. He could have recorded that from literally anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
As we'll discuss in the Disney special, Dave Goelz was not there puppeteering Gonzo, so they can do this stuff later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this episode did finally air in January of 1990. It was renumbered to fit into the season 6, but it has been speculated, this is according to Muppet Wiki, that the episode maybe wasn't totally completed in 1989, or maybe had to be reworked to match the show's new continuity after the Muppet segments were taped. So,
yeah, that makes sense, because I do feel like the Cosby Show had some continuity, right?
Well, and the biggest thing is that Olivia, Raven-Symoné's character, was not in season 5 of the Cosby Show.
Oh, so they put in that section where she's talking to all the French people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So everyone is like, well, that clearly had to be done for season 6 because she wasn't there in season 5.
Okay.
But since the Muppets don't interact with her, like that stuff could still be recorded in 1989, because I find it extremely unlikely that they would have come back later to do more Jim Henson Hour puppet stuff. Later in 1990 and in subsequent airings, they would run this episode with a title card that said in memory of Jim Henson after his passing. And this episode is weird, and I don't remember enough about the Cosby Show to remember how often it got this weird. But it opens up with the line, "Boys and girls of all ages, this is Cliff's neighbor, Jeffrey Ingalls, and I'd like to tell you a story about the trouble Cliff had with a sausage sandwich."
And it's Wallace Shawn, right?
It's Wallace Shawn.
Okay. I thought he said this is Cliff's favorite. I didn't, the word neighbor, I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
So,
is this
yeah,
just supposed to be Wallace Shawn?
I watched this. You can buy it in the highest quality on Prime Video, which had subtitles, which is why I was able to figure out that it was his neighbor,
Okay.
Jeffrey Ingalls. Because
So Wallace
I also
Shawn is a character in the Cosby Show, which I do not remember.
I did not know that either, but I was watching it and going, "This sounds a lot like Wallace Shawn."
Yeah.
And then he like names himself as Jeffrey Ingalls, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening, because we don't see this man in this episode.
Yeah, I was also very confused for the same exact reason. I was like, "Who is Jeffrey Ingalls?" I'm not gonna
like
Google it.
they could have picked anyone from the show to narrate this episode.
Yeah, right.
And they picked Wallace Shawn, who is a great voice.
I wonder why they added the narration is so unnecessary, but I guess maybe that feels like something where they shot the episode and it wasn't quite working. So then they were like, we got to get Wallace Shawn to talk about why he's doing some of the things he's doing.
I imagine it's because of what we just talked about with the filming
Right.
part of this episode possibly later to make it into something. So they had filmed the, puppet stuff with an idea of where the rest of the episode would be. And then I guess had to rework that. And I guess probably needed to cover some gaps there.
I would guess if you search, if you talked to real Cosby Show heads, they would say this was one of the worst episodes of the Cosby Show. That's my guess.
Weirdly, Wallace Shawn is only in 4 episodes of the Cosby Show.
Which season?
I think it varies.
Okay.
I think he is in a few different seasons, but he's on screen in 4, and then he narrates this one. So he's only in 5 episodes total.
That is crazy.
And 2 of those come after this.
Huh,
So
okay.
he'd only been in 2 episodes before he narrated this whole episode.
And that's why he had to say, this is Cliff's neighbor. Remember me?
You may not remember me. Perhaps you've seen some of my other work. I'm
Yeah.
Wallace Shawn.
It's not like if George Costanza narrated an episode of Seinfeld, he'd have to say,
Right.
I'm George Costanza, Jerry's friend.
It's George. George
You know?
Costanza.
Yeah. On this Reddit thread about the worst Cosby Show episodes from 1 year ago, 4 or 5 people say Cliff's Nightmare. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it looks like on IMDb, out of about 200 episodes, I think it's down to like 170 or something like that as far as in the rankings of best episodes. So I think it's not a beloved episode.
It's in the bottom third of episodes.
Yeah, which makes sense if you were tuning in for a regular Cosby Show episode, I imagine. But
Yeah. I
if
think
you're tuning
everybody
in,
kind of hates episodes like this, right?
yeah, because you don't get your characters being themselves at all. And you get a bunch of people you don't care about or puppets you've never seen in your life because the show that they were on got canceled after a month.
Yeah. It's honestly
not
kind of like Muppet Babies, where it's like, this doesn't matter. Like nothing that's happening right now is real. It doesn't matter.
Well, it airs so much later and like Kermit's not here. Like you get Gonzo.
Yeah.
But for the most part, these are not characters you're going to recognize.
No, you don't want it. When they showed up to set with Digit, the Cosby Show cast went,
Well, and the idea that like watching Gonzo show up in this had to be weird for people who didn't know anything about the Jim Henson Hour because you don't know
Right.
these are Muppets. These are just puppets.
Well, you could see I think Sweetums
I guess Sweetums does
and
come in. That's
Dogline.
true.
I think
That's
you'd
true.
recognize at least you'd see Sweetums.
I
and
forgot
Dog.
they show up first. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Okay, maybe
I think
you'd be
you
less
would actually
confused.
be more like, why did he bring him to a hospital full of these weird guys who aren't Muppets?
Well, we do learn, as Sam said, that Cliff has been up for 72 hours delivering babies. He's only eaten a can of soup, so it's time for him to eat a late night sausage sandwich. But Claire warns him, hey, last time you did that, you dreamed you were pregnant.
I thought he was a dentist. What's the show where the dad's a dentist? Is that a show? Does that sound familiar?
No, so I know he delivers babies, but I feel like, man, sorry,
He's got a
Cosby
private
heads.
practice in his house, I'm
Yes,
pretty sure. at some
that's what I
point.
remember.
Yeah.
At some
Yeah,
point,
yeah, yeah.
he is a doctor from home, and you can't deliver babies from your house. So
No.
I don't know when his career changes.
I don't
but-
really know how doctors work either, but also I think sometimes when you have I think sometimes you just got to go to the hospital when you're a doctor. Is that not true? I feel like some doctors are like, I got to go work at the hospital today.
I mean, yeah, I believe so.
Or maybe he's like an OBGYN. Like he's like he's like the guy. And then when you go to the hospital and you're having your baby, you're like, call my doctor. And he's the guy, you know?
I mean, Wikipedia says he is an OBGYN who runs a practice from an office annexed to the family home.
Yes.
So it maybe is not a room in his house, but is like attached to the side of his house. Like he bought the building next door.
And then annexed, yes.
So his office is there, but he would have to go into the hospital to deliver the babies.
Right.
Now we know.
Real doctors, sound off. Tell us how this works.
Man, do we have any doctors listening to the show?
Yeah, don't tell your patients you listen to the show if you're a doctor.
Just play it in the operating room. They're asleep. It's fine.
You're playing it while you're doing their checkup. You're like, I love these guys.
Wake up! Wake up! Well, he immediately does have the bad dreams. His first weird dream is Vanessa being in a funk jazz band, which goes on for way too long, where she just plays a song on the saxophone. But the second dream, he walks in and Olivia is on a table 200 years ago inventing penicillin.
Yeah, and when you do the milk, pasteurization.
Yes.
That too. She's talking to a bunch of French scientists. Why?
Yeah, a bunch of ones who are like, oh, mademoiselle, you are a genius. And this scene may not seem relevant to us at all, but the man who calls her a genius is Matt Robinson, who at the time was a writer and co-producer on The Cosby Show, but more importantly to us, he was the first Gordon.
What? Was he on The Cosby Show other times?
I don't know, but he at least was behind the scenes. He has the first name in the credits, I think, as a producer at the end of the episode. He was not the test episode Gordon,
but he was the first producer.
Yeah, the first Gordon from seasons 1 through 3 of Sesame Street.
What the hell? That's crazy.
Yeah, also creator and voice of Roosevelt Franklin back in the day. So yeah, a nice Sesame Street crossover as well.
He worked on The Cosby Show for 7 seasons.
I think he maybe left Sesame Street to go into this world of like behind the scenes television production. So
okay.
I guess it worked out for him.
Wow. This is blowing my mind kind of.
Yeah, it was like a thing I just happened to stumble across on Muppet Wiki under the like Cosby Show connections to Muppet things. There's a screenshot of him that says like Matt Robinson is the guy who calls her a genius. And I was like, hold on, why? Like it feels like a nice Muppet collaboration where you get Bill Prady and Jim Lewis, who are these like at the time like younger Muppet writers,
right?
Getting to write this little side project. Matt Robinson's there. You got Richard Hunt on set with Dave Goles and everything. So it is a nice collaboration. When
Richard Hunt's voice popped up, I feel like we haven't heard from him in a while, even though he was on Fafner. But there was like a big block, I feel like, where we just weren't hearing him.
Well, and I think there's something to the fun these actors and performers feel like they're having this week, both in this and the Disneyland special, that I think was missing from Fafner Hall. Well, then Cliff hears Claire screaming. He sees firemen who won't let him into the room. Turns out Claire's on a window ledge. It's storming out there. He's got to save her. So he goes to find a ladder. But as Wallace Shawn narrates, Cliff won't be finding that ladder because this dream is about to become even more peculiar.
The version I watched was the version that was stitched together where some of it was filmed off of a TV.
Yep.
And you could hear the person filming it laughing.
Like, yeah, no. That was the best I could do, Sam, as far as finding clips of this whole episode outside of watching it on Amazon. But there was, the last 11 minutes is thankfully in higher quality and features all of our puppet friends. So he gets down to his living room and we meet the hypocritic Oaf, who is the first puppet we see performed by Kevin Clash here.
Is he a new guy? A new puppet?
Oh, none of these puppets are new, Sam.
Oh, okay.
If anything, this is their last hurrah for a lot of them.
Right.
This is a puppet from the Jim Henson Hour who showed up in a couple of episodes, but most notably played a king in one episode. He was a hat sharpener, if you remember that story.
Yes. I remember that. Right.
But this is the last time we will see this puppet, according to Muppet Wiki.
Right.
I think we maybe even remarked on him being an interesting puppet. But so sadly, this is the last time we will see him. And like I said, there are a few other characters who will be disappearing now or just showing up maybe once more after this. We have Leon featured in this episode. He will show up only once more on Larry King Live in 1994. So
I liked him in this. I think
this is the perfect version of Leon.
Yeah, I think so.
But he has to wait 4 years in a box until he shows up on Larry King Live. Jacques Roach is briefly seen in the audience at the theater scene.
Yeah.
He, after this, will take 6 years off before showing up in Muppet Treasure Island.
Okay. That makes sense for him because he's disgusting. So he's like
Absolutely.
a pirate, I assume, right?
I assume.
Yeah.
I haven't watched that in a very long time.
Mm-mm.
A few of these puppets show up on Mappa Top's shop, which is something that we've brought up before as a graveyard for old Muppets.
Yeah.
It seems
Kinda-
like.
I bet it tonally feels similar maybe to Fafner Hall, where
Yeah. Hopefully not. We'll find out eventually. But that is 9 years after this. And the ones that we won't see until then are Shaky Sanchez, Boo Monster from Little Muppet Monsters, who's in the crowd,
Boo was there. I remember seeing that.
and Anthony, who is the dad who finds out he had a baby boy.
Yes, from like the 30-something. Well, I don't remember. what it was
Hurting
actually.
someone, I
Hurting
believe is what it's called.
Yes, that's right. Where they were eating the little people.
Yes. The wife from Hurting Something is also in this. She's the nurse.
Yeah. The exposed brain lady.
Yeah, who looks sort of creature from the Black Lagoon-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the last time we'll see her as well. So that puppet's a goner, I guess, now. We won't see Beautiful Day Monster again after this for 20 years.
That's the one. When you say the ones who were Muppet Show guys, it makes me sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is the last time, like, Beautiful Day Monster hasn't been doing a ton since the Muppet Show, but he pops up from time to time on things.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's going to take 20 years off.
So what's he show up in again? Muppets?
I think
the movie?
The 2011 Muppets movie,
Right,
and
okay.
also the OK Go Muppet Show theme song music video.
Right. Okay. I feel bad for Shaky Sanchez. He also is a Muppet Show guy. He should
Yeah.
be treated with more respect.
And he gets a nice little moment in this where he gets to sort of be himself.
He gets to be shaky.
Yeah, a lot of these puppets don't necessarily get to be the characters they were previously,
Right.
but Shaky's definitely shaky. And we really got to pour one out because this is the last time we will see Digit.
That is sad because I kind of like Digit. I don't think he fit in with like the Monster Hospital theme too well, but I understand why he was there because it was like a crossover with the Jim Henson Hour.
Yeah.
But I liked him in this. I thought he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, he's fine. And I think, to have those crossover characters is important. And I think he, was a new, exciting character on Jim Henson Hour. But yeah, we will not see Digit again, aside from he is a vocal cameo in the Muppets Party Cruise 2003
right.
video game for some reason.
How does this happen? These choices, I'm just so interested in.
Yeah.
Because like I could see myself being like, oh yeah, there's this crazy character. Wouldn't it be fun if we, or if Dave Goles was like, I'm doing Digit again. Try and stop me.
He just does it in the booth. He starts talking
Yeah.
like Digit, and they're like, what are you doing, Dave? He's like, Digit's going to be in this game. And they're like, well, we didn't really, there's no room for Digit to be in this game. And he's like,
Well,
I'm recording these lines as
I've
Digit.
locked the door from the inside and I'm not leaving.
Digit's
and I'm-
gonna be here.
Yeah.
I guess I would probably blame Jim Lewis, who wrote Muppets Party Cruise, has written
that's
so many
right.
other things
Yeah.
for
That's true.
for the Muppets, and was around writing things like this. So I would imagine it is Jim Lewis going, we could put Digit in here for some
Yeah.
reason.
And if there had been a Muppet podcast back then, me and you would have been like, what the fuck? Digit's in it. But back then, probably nobody even knew.
Well, after we see the hypocritic oaf, we do hear a familiar voice pop up as Richard Hunt shows up as a puppet of a sandwich. It is the sandwich that Cliff ate. And I'm pretty sure we saw this puppet when it was still in the middle of being built.
I think you're right, because we saw it on the Today Show or something like that.
It was
right?
CBS This Morning when Jim
That's
was
right.
being interviewed via satellite. He put a sandwich puppet on his hand that looked a lot like this.
Yeah, this is also not a sausage sandwich, so also a recycled puppet.
It's got maybe some marinara sauce or something on there.
Yeah.
It's kind of confusing what's going on there, but the oaf tells Cliff that he needs to go to the hospital now for an emergency delivery. He refuses, so the oaf calls backup, and Sweetums and Dogline come in to take him away.
I like it. It's a good duo.
Well, and they got voices, which they don't always have.
No, Dogline especially. Was
Dogline.
Sweetums voiced by Richard?
No, so this was
Okay, I didn't think
David
so.
Rudman
Okay.
playing Sweetums here, who is now Scooter, Janice, and Cookie Monster these days.
Okay.
But back then was more like he played some roles. He was on Little Muppet Monsters, but he was
Right.
not necessarily a main Muppet performer quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
And Dogline is performed by Noel McNeil, who to me and Sam is more of a Magellan the Dragon, but to most people is Bear in the Big Blue House.
Yeah. Okay.
So the monsters take him to the hospital where we see a whole bunch of puppets hanging out in a scene that is a little strange because this is supposed to be a dream sequence of Cliff, and he ain't here yet.
Oh, whoa. This is real.
Like, he's not witnessing any of this. We are the only ones who get to watch this.
Wait, are you always in your dreams?
I think so.
I'm not. Sometimes I'm looking at other people doing stuff, and sometimes I'm looking at myself doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm first person, but it all kind of mixes and matches.
But are there scenes happening that you're not even privy to? Like, you weren't in the room, but you watch a scene happen? Because if Cliff was like standing off to the side and like watching them tell Anthony that he's a father, that's one thing. But he's not in the hospital yet.
But dreams, so for me at least, my dream. Let's talk about dreams. For me at least, my dreams are like, I know, like you see something or you learn, like you watch something happen, like all of the context of the thing that's going on somehow. Like you're just like, I know that this dog is the president or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Do you know
I
kind of
be
what
in your
I'm
dreams.
saying? You know kind of what I'm saying?
I don't have dog presidents in my dreams.
Well, I don't either, but I'm just saying, like, I know that this orb in front of me represents like human suffering or whatever. Like the context is like your brain is like, this is this, okay? So when he walks into the room, he's like, this is the monster hospital. This has existed before me and will exist after me. Even though I've not seen it, I still can see time stretching out in all directions.
Right, because he doesn't raise a lot of questions about
he just
the
knows
appearance
it's the
of
monster
anyone.
hospital. That's right.
Yeah. All right.
You get it.
I mean, ish. My dreams are a lot less fascinating than yours.
Yeah,
Mine are much more straightforward, just like day-to-day life scenarios. And I also rarely remember my dreams.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat of remembering them. I usually have weird dreams, but also my least favorite recurring dream that I have is that I wake up and go take a shower, and then I wake up and I'm like, no, but this happens to me.
Shower.
This happens to me all the time.
You just wake up covered in water sometimes, and you're like, what happened?
I wish, because then I would have taken a shower. Oh, then I have to get out of bed.
Or just hose yourself down in the yard or something.
I wake up, I have a dream that I made myself get out of bed and take a shower. And then I wake up and I'm like, you son of a bee. I'm not doing all that all over again. But then I have to.
Well, we get into the hospital and we see that Anthony, the puppet, which is just a very common name for such a wild
guy. Yeah.
Cockroach
he's like
man.
A beaky cockroach guy, yeah.
Well, and in here, he's not called Anthony. In here, the beautiful day monster who is dressed in scrubs comes out and calls him Mr. Rudd, like Paul Rudd.
Right.
And lets him know that he's the proud father of a baby boy. And Anthony passes out when he's told the baby boy looks just like him.
Because he's ugly.
He's ugly. You know who else is ugly? Patina.
Oh, yeah. What the fuck is this? It's like a ugly dolls. It looks like an ugly doll.
Yeah. There's a ugly doll hanging out here next to Anthony, who I assume was going to be a character like his daughter or something, but she is no one except a ghoul.
Like a fuggler. You know, the ones with teeth.
Yeah.
I hate those
things.
Yeah,
that is what she sort of looks like. She has like
my
springs
kid asked
for
me
hair.
For one of those, I would ground them. I would not give them a fuggler.
You don't get a fuggler.
No.
But yeah, Patina is terrifying. She has teeth that look like she stole human teeth and put them in her face. She has springs for hair. She's wearing like a baby onesie.
Ugh.
And apparently, according to Muppet Wiki, this puppet was commissioned for use on the Jim Henson Hour. But this appearance in Cliff's Nightmare is the only known use of Patina.
What the hell?
So I think Patina doesn't exist. And we're all seeing a shared fantasy of this evil, creepy doll.
Uh-huh.
Who just appears on our screens whenever we watch this episode.
It's like a backrooms entity, and this is how it is. And right now we're focusing too much psychic energy into Patina.
Yeah, if
and
we
tomorrow
keep
we're
going, she's going to appear. She's going to show up on the Muppet Show. Like, you're going to go back and rewatch episodes of the Muppet Show, and Patina will have been there the whole time.
And we'll say, of course, Patina was one of the main characters of the Muppet Show. And then from there, she'll be on, Friends.
Yeah. Oh, Patina and Ross. Will they, won't they? Or what if they just use this puppet for Rachel's baby?
Oh no!
They're like, oh, it looks just like you, Rachel.
You know what? It
Mommy.
doesn't not look like Jennifer Aniston.
I'm going to actually go on record and say it doesn't look like Jennifer Aniston.
I think it kind of does. Anyway, we could argue back and forth about that all day.
I might like to, because I don't think I've ever heard a more incorrect statement said on this podcast,
They've
which
got
is surprising.
similar eyes.
One big one, one small one.
If Jennifer Aniston gave birth to this baby, I would be like, oh, but then I'd also partially kind of be like, all right.
Wow. Coming for the throat of Jennifer Aniston.
I love Jennifer. I think Jennifer
today.
Aniston's beautiful, but
Do
also
you?
she's kind of like a little goofy. There's something a little goofy about her, and like she and this baby would be fast friends. I
See,
feel
if this
like.
was Phoebe's baby, I'd be like, yeah, Phoebe's baby
Oh,
makes
this
sense.
is a Phoebe art project for sure. Like when Jennifer Aniston moves in with Phoebe for a little while, when Rachel does, and then and she like wake up in the middle of the night, and this would be like sitting on the her nightstand, and Phoebe would be like, "Did you like the doll I made you?" Yeah.
Yeah, it's also got like Cynthia vibes from Rugrats.
Right, from Rugrats.
Like
yeah.
it seems like a bit of a doll that made itself and then came to life.
I think it's good that we were spared whatever sketch this was going to be in the Jim Henson Hour.
Yeah, I'm also just though confused that like this puppet again is standing near Anthony when Anthony finds out he's a dad.
Yeah.
He passes out and the doll just kind of like da 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 like bops away.
Yeah. The doll
And
could have been the baby that he had. Right?
Yeah, or it could have been his other kid who was waiting with him. But like in the context we get, this is just a creepy little girl who's in the hospital.
It's not real, Matt. You're right, and don't talk about it anymore because what you said is real. This is she seeded herself into Muppet Wiki was where she first appeared. Then enough people saw that, and then she could make the jump to the Jim Henson Hour. So we can't. We have to stop her right now.
Well, I'll stop her with a little tidbit from Muppet Wiki, noting that Beautiful Day Monster's first line that you hear is done by Kevin Clash, but the rest of his lines are done by Dave Goelz.
Why?
Great question, because it's very obvious. He goes from sounding like Hoots the Owl to Bunsen Honeydew in about 10 seconds.
Oh, I didn't clock that for some reason.
When
Maybe
he
I was
tells
looking
Anthony
at Bettina too much.
He's a proud father. He's like sounds exactly like Hoots the Owl. And then in his next line, sounds exactly like Bunsen Honeydew.
So maybe, so was this? It was all like pre-recorded, and they didn't.
I don't
sync
think
it
so. I
right,
think it was just maybe they decided to change something and didn't change all of it for some
They
reason.
needed a pickup. Weird.
Yeah. So they toss Cliff into the waiting room. I mean Dog Lion and Sweetums, and that's where he meets briefly. He meets Shaky Sanchez and Leon, and Leon is con man Leon. He is here to sell Cliff an elevator pass for $5.
Classic. Did kids try to do this at your high school?
No, they sell you hall passes.
We had a 3-story high school,
Yeah.
and so there was an elevator somewhere. I think like a freight elevator or something. But the seniors would try to sell the freshmen elevator passes.
Wild. I assume this was an invention of the show. I did not. I had never heard of something like this.
I hadn't thought about it until you said it, and I was like, oh yeah.
I like the idea that you don't know if there was an elevator for sure, and yet people were trying to sell elevator passes in this school.
Well, I mean, I didn't fall for it because I was like, you clearly of all people wouldn't be a representative of the high school. You are one of the kids who smoke cigarettes behind the auto
They
shop.
don't entrust you with exclusive
You're not
elevator
passing off
passes.
the elevator passes. Yeah.
Oh.
I'll go to the principal and buy my elevator pass. Thank you very much.
The long con. Well, he sees Cliff pull out a big wad of money, so he decides instantly to take him for more. And he's like, oh, well, do you have an elevator pass to come back down? And he's like, oh, no. He's like, well, that's $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
I do like the escalation of how much it costs is great.
And Dream Cliff has no problem paying these fees. He's like, okay, here you go. And he's like, did you drive a car here? And he's like, yeah. He's like, where'd you park? He's like, on the north side. He's like, well, you got to give me $3,500 more. And he's like, what? He's like, you got to give me $3,500 more. Doesn't even try to make up a reason for that one, but it works.
Leon should have been Cliff's neighbor.
He should have been narrating this whole episode.
Yeah.
And just randomly show up in five other episodes.
So. Yeah, just a lizard guy.
It just constantly keeps ripping him off. Well, then it cuts to a conversation that if you're watching this on Prime Video or other places in syndication, the scene doesn't exist in your version. It's a scene with Digit, who yells, "Is there a doctor in the house?" And it's Digit trying to get Cliff to help him. He's showing him on a monitor how pixelated he is, and apparently that's a problem.
Does this scene not exist because somebody just watched it and said, we don't need to see this guy? Or what?
That would be, my guess is this feels like one of those things like when you've already learned that the Jim Henson Hour is going to be off the air, we don't need more Digit lore. Like, this really is here because Digit would do this on the Jim Henson Hour.
Mm-hmm.
But Digit doesn't need to do this on the Cosby
He's not a monster.
Show.
It doesn't match with the... It's a fine scene, but it doesn't match with the concept of the rest of the thing.
But he tries to get Cliff to hit him like he hit a television set, and Cliff sort of refuses, giving him a slight little tap. So Sweetums steps in and clocks him, which makes him feel 100% better.
I would have slapped that guy right across the face.
Immediately, no hesitation?
Yeah.
He does get mad and say, "You call yourself a doctor. Keep practicing."
Yeah, I liked him in this. It did make me kind of think, maybe you revamp Digit a little bit, make him a little feltier, and he gets to be in the Muppet Show with everybody else.
Well, if you're watching the syndicated version of this, what you get is the next scene, which is Rudy in a green wig behind the nurse counter. Do you think the green wig is just to make her more Muppety?
More like a monster. I don't know. This episode, if I was involved in the production of this episode the whole time, I'd be like, we fucked up.
And maybe they were. Again. Maybe they're like, we had no choice, though. We have to keep moving forward here.
Yeah.
Well, there's a cut line here if you, again, watch the syndicated version. Don't know why they cut this one, but Cliff further defends himself to Rudy, saying, "I was going to save your mom, but the monsters dragged me away." And she says, "If I had a nickel for every time I heard that story, I'd be a millionaire."
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, that exchange is cut out of the syndicated version.
Oh, weird. But Rudy's in it otherwise?
Yes, they have this whole scene except for that one exchange. It just cuts straight to him being like, "Hey, you're pushing it." And then she's like, "You want to see pushing it?" And she calls in Dog Lion and Sweetums.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it also, there's a payoff, I guess. Like there's a follow-up later on. The cheese in the fridge at the end of the episode says a similar line. If I had a nickel for every time he said he wasn't going to eat bad food, I could buy my own refrigerator.
Does that a callback, or did they just forget they had?
Right. And maybe they were like, shit, we got to cut one of these.
Whoops. Yeah. Yeah, it's what somebody like decades later re-edited this episode to be better. That's very odd.
So we cut to a good-looking theater set, which was kind of surprising, featuring a couple rows of familiar monsters watching the stage where Gonzo shows up in scrubs.
Yeah. I went, whoa. I was surprised. I was genuinely surprised Gonzo was there.
And Gonzo is feeling real Muppet Show Gonzo in the best way.
He's back to like performance artist. He's not like sweater vest wearing like a stage manager or like stage assistant. I don't really know what Gonzo's deal is, but
well, and also in the like we've talked about nowadays this happens more, but it was even happening in the 80s. We've seen parts where they just kind of write a line for Gonzo that just feels like, okay, this is Gonzo Mad Libs of weird things, but it doesn't feel real, or I don't know. For something about this felt like classic Gonzo to me.
I think when he's on stage talking about weird stuff he's done before, you can kind of be like, well, yeah, you're on stage about to do another weird thing. When he's just like hanging out in his slacks and he says, "You remember when I ate every booger in the world?" You're like, no, you live like in a really normal house and you go to Panera Bread.
He's also still got the energy in this too of just like a little bit of almost sexual satisfaction when talking about these weird stunts.
That's a big part of it too. I think you're right.
And so when he's talking about his stunts without that sexual satisfaction, just not the same.
No, it's really, he doesn't have any joie de vivre.
Yeah.
You can tell he's not hard.
You can tell. It's in his voice. Well, Gonzo says we're about to see the first delivery ever of a Cosbanian.
Crazy.
Also incorrect.
Oh, yeah, you're right. The very, very famously, their whole entire skit is about them having a baby.
Mm-hmm. We see Muppets Valentine's Show back in 1974. We see the Galileo Hoop Hoop.
Right.
Where the Cosbanians
that's their first appearance, right?
Yes, I believe so.
I think so.
In this version, though, the Cosbanian is sort of just an off-screen monster that's growling ominously. We do not see any Cosbanians.
Doesn't sound cute or anything like that.
Well, if you remember the The Frank Oz Cosbanian was quite foghorn-ish in its noise, so they don't always sound small and cute.
Yeah, that's true.
So Cliff gets pulled out on the stage to deliver. He's also in the Waldorf position up next to Statler, and they crack a little joke about this guy doesn't look like he could deliver a baby. And Statler says, he doesn't look like he could deliver a pizza.
Yeah. And it is not something like he hasn't been showing up as other characters in this. Bill Cosby hasn't. So
No.
it does feel like they went, oh, Jim's not here? Oh, well, I guess that changes things.
Yeah. Gonzo warns him this will be very dangerous, saying, I thought I was in danger performing an appendectomy while being shot out of a cannon, but that's nothing compared to this.
Mm-hmm.
He tells Cliff he's going to have to be suspended upside down in a tank of water while playing Lady of Spain on the accordion. And this just warmed my heart, I think.
Yeah.
Just hearing Gonzo be Gonzo.
Yeah, on a stage, in a theater, with an audience, talking about the classic old weird stuff. Because even like Gonzo in the Jim Henson Hour was sort of just like the last friend Kermit had, who was just kind of hanging out. And he made us a little sad, I think.
Right. And it is weird and sad to think about him being here without Kermit as the only representative of the Muppets that we know and love.
Yeah.
But he's doing a good job of being a representative.
Well, Statler is also. It's kind of sad to think about Statler being there without Waldorf also.
Yeah. You're watching this going, did Waldorf die?
Statler's trying out some new best friends.
But in the way that you might see on the Muppet Show, but maybe even more so in like the queue for a Muppet ride or something, we hear off screen the Cosbanian has escaped.
Mm-hmm.
And so Gonzo informs us that we won't be seeing this delivery. The crowd, though, won't accept this, and they grow unruly. And the Muppets in the crowd start chanting, we want surgery. We want surgery. And one of the Frackles yells out, operate on that guy Huxtable. So they strap him to a table, and Dr. Digit pops up with a hacksaw.
Oh, yeah, right. He's got the steadiest hands on the one. I forgot about this part.
And just as he's about to cut him open, Cliff wakes up in bed screaming. And so he goes down to begin his day. We see his kids at the breakfast table. Theo says, Dad probably ate something and had nightmares again. And Vanessa says a wild line. You know, there was a sausage missing from the refrigerator this morning.
Vanessa's keeping track of the sausage stocks. And maybe they're her sausages, you know?
I mean, maybe she bought them. She's like, someone did steal a sausage.
My child loves disgusting, stinky, spicy sausages.
Specifically counting them and keeping track of how many there are. Well, he opens up the fridge to find it full of puppet food.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. But that is the end of the episode. As Sam said, is this real? Who knows?
So he just lives in a different reality now where the food in his fridge is talking to him.
And he does have a moment where he shuts it and then reopens it. And I thought for sure the puppets would be gone.
Nope.
They're not. They live there forever.
And even the puppets are kind of like, oh, we are still here. Okay.
I think there's I think the pineapple or something is like, he's back.
Yeah, that part was great. I loved that. And I liked the dream sequence a lot. I think it maybe would have behooved them to just have the whole episode have the Muppets in it instead of the kind of stupid dream sequences that happen first.
I almost wonder if there was supposed to be more Muppets throughout this or like longer Muppet scenes. And they cut down Muppet scenes after Jim Henson Hour got canceled.
Because it makes sense for his dream to all be set on him having to go back to the hospital and deliver like increasingly odd babies.
Like the funk jazz band and the Navy and the 200 years in the past thing, like, don't connect in any way. They're just weird things that are happening to him.
Right.
But if the entire episode was he has a nightmare and there are puppets and it takes place in the hospital, I could see that making more sense.
Right. And maybe you'd feel like you're learning a little something about Cliff and it's not just random stuff.
Right. Like you have no idea, aside from like he mentions his time in the Navy.
Yeah.
There's not like much to learn from the Olivia scene.
Right. Or like what he thinks of his children. Like why, like, is she smart? I don't actually know anything about the Cosby
When he gets
show.
very mad that Vanessa is playing saxophone for some reason. He's like, you don't know how to play saxophone. And it's like,
well, actually that turns out to be because he gets the saxophone and he says, I've wanted to do this my whole life.
Right. But why is
actually
she so
maybe
mad
you
that
are.
she can play saxophone?
Well, he's mad that she thinks she can just start playing.
Oh,
and I
okay.
think the thing is like, I wanted to play saxophone, but it's too hard for me to do it.
Yeah.
And you think you can just do it? It all makes sense, Matt.
Well, and Olivia's not even his kid.
She's not?
I don't think so. I think she's like a niece or something.
Oh, I was wondering.
That's why she shows up randomly in season 6.
Okay, so she's not a baby
I mean,
that they have.
no.
Oh, Denise's stepdaughter. Who's Denise?
Oh, Denise is one of the daughters.
Okay. So she marries a guy with a kid from. Oh, I see. Yes, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Denise is Lisa Bonet.
Lisa Bonet, who goes to a different world.
Yes,
That's
Catwoman's mom. The next thing we watched was The New Statesman, but we talked about that. So we're going to move on. The January 24th, 1990 Television Hall of Fame ceremony. This is the induction of the class of 1989, technically. They just
Right.
aired this in 1990.
It's kind of like an Oscars thing that always confuses me, where it's like these movies were from that year, but
Right.
and then you have to be careful which year you're looking up. Right.
Well, and sometimes in the Oscars, it's even more confusing because like a movie just came out too late in the year to be considered. But even though
Yeah.
it like came out a year and a half ago, it'll be nominated for the next Oscars.
Right.
Thankfully, Joan Ganscooney avoids that fate. There's no
She's just
confusion
a
here.
Human being.
Yes.
So she's always going to be there. Yeah.
We've watched some Television Hall of Fame previously because in 1986, they performed a tribute to Burr Tillstrom with a bunch
Right.
of Muppets doing a
And
musical
is
number.
that Jim introduced it? Is that right?
I think so. And he's
Yeah.
also performing. That's the one I believe where Kermit and Jim are both singing in the song together.
Yeah.
And it's a little trippy.
Uh-huh.
But then in 1987, Jim Henson himself was inducted.
Right. And they do
And-
the big like song and dance about how cool Jim is.
Yeah.
And that was kind of that was kind of fun.
Yes. Another thing kind of funny to hear Jim characters sing about how great Jim Henson is.
Yeah, right.
But this does start off, it seems like the person who recorded this off their TV was trying to avoid commercials. And so things are sort of
yeah.
picked up in media res a little bit.
We don't get the whole Big Bird intro.
No, he's already on stage mid-poem to Joan Ganscooney.
Mm-hmm.
It wraps it up and introduces Diane Sawyer, who's coming out to actually properly introduce Joan Ganscooney. We see Joan in the audience sitting next to Jim, and Diane Sawyer introduces a montage, which is also narrated by her, of Sesame Street clips, and talks just a little bit about Joan Ganscooney while they show clips from Sesame Street.
Another person, Diane Sawyer, also loomed large over 90s. Her name was like everywhere. I feel like she was the like if like a show was making a joke about the news or something, they'd be like, "And I'm Diane Sawyer." You just heard that name a lot. I feel like
I thought she was old back then, like because she was like 40. Oh no, in the 90s.
Yeah.
But like as a kid, I thought Diane Sawyer was like old.
She wore blazers. So
Yeah.
old.
And so like
yeah.
the fact that like Diane Sawyer is still around is sometimes surprising to me. But yeah, there's not a ton to say about this other than that in the middle of it, I learned some things because they mentioned some other children's television workshop shows that I did not know existed.
I knew there's one I didn't know, I think specifically, but
So they mentioned Electric Company, which I think
Yeah.
most of us know, which is like sort of a slightly more grown-up version of Sesame Street. But then they mentioned Square One TV, which they said uncomplicates math.
right, I didn't know that one.
Hadn't heard of that. And they mentioned 321 Contact, which they describe as a program that makes science a pleasure.
I've heard of that one, but I think only in like somebody like joking about it on like Mystery Science Theater or something like that. I don't know. I've heard of that one though.
To me, I'm just more of like, we're in the unique position where we work at Complexly.
Mhm.
So like hearing this sort of Complexly in the 80s version of things where it's like, oh, Joan Ganscooney was like the Hank Green of her day. It was like,
Yeah.
all right, we need a show about science. We need a show for kids. We need a show about math. Like, but this is the way they did it back then, was just on, public broadcasting.
I think it's even interesting that, well, you'll probably talk about her speech a little bit. I think it's interesting that she's like, I was lucky that I came up in a time when television was interested in like furthering children's education, which feels kind of like her saying, not anymore though.
Yeah.
But yeah,
We were
that
fighting
was-
for
that
our
was-
lives.
And that's like the fun, like the fun scrappiness of TV back then became the fun scrappiness of YouTube, which maybe doesn't, I guess still will always exist because anybody can put something on YouTube, but also has been gamed out to be more professional too.
Right.
Now
because
it's podcast, baby. We're the scrappy ones.
because, even that's going away.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But it's, it is that thing where it starts off scrappy and amateurish. But then once suddenly the Mr. Beasts of the world are known to people, the view of what a YouTuber is changes a lot from what it was back in the early mid 2000s. And I think the same was, of television when there was 3 channels and PBS and you had Sesame Street, it's going to shine. Now that Fox and cable is showing up, like Joan Gans Cooney has some stiff competition out there.
Yeah.
So I'm sure her comments about that are a little bit pointed.
She can't make it in a post-married with children world.
Well, at the end of this montage, we do cut to the familiar to us now living room of the Huxtables on the set of The Cosby Show, where Bill Cosby and Keisha Knight Pullman are sitting there on the couch. She's the one who plays Rudy on the show. And they're going to actually announce Joan as the new inductee. Jim very sweetly walks Joan up to the stage.
Yeah, that was really nice. He looked so happy for her.
Yeah, and it's nice that he's just there. He walked up to the stage, goes back and sit down. This isn't about him. And yeah, Joan gives her acceptance speech, which is pretty straightforward. Talks about the importance of luck and thanking all the partners she had, both in love and in production. Yeah,
I said in my intro too that she talked about like her charmed life, but it is, and she talks about luck and she's very humble, but also, she came up with all this stuff. She had good ideas for all of it. And
right, which thankfully Diane Sawyer gives her a bunch of credit for and talks about how she wrote a study in 1966 that was a precursor to Sesame Street and all this stuff.
She was taking all this in those documentaries we watched. She was thinking about science.
Yeah, but I think it's sort of like Jim. Oftentimes we hear Jim talk about stuff and he's like, oh, well, there's a lot of people who work on that.
Yeah. And then kind of once you get it spun up and you're like, this is working, I guess it is easier to be like, well, now everybody else does it. And I'm just kind of like hanging out.
Yeah, Jim's like, I didn't even have to go to the Cosby Show.
Or Disneyland.
Well, what a good segue there, Sam. The last thing we watched this week was the Disneyland's 35th anniversary celebration from February 4th, 1990. This aired as an episode of The Magical World of Disney on NBC, directed by John Landis. Because sure, I guess blow all your money on that.
Yeah, well, okay.
And hosted by Tony Danza.
You know what it is? I will say it is shot pretty nicely. They make the rides look pretty good.
I love the idea that John Landis was directing Ernest.
Oh, gosh. You didn't watch all of this?
No,
right?
I did not. I watched a little bit before and a little bit after the Muppet segment.
It was so bad. I hated it.
That's a bummer. It looks interesting
so
from skimming.
Cringy. It's not. It's the Ernest part is the worst part too, which was just very disappointing because he's not even playing Ernest the whole time. He's playing
his dad, right?
His grandpa, Pops or whatever. I think it's his grandpa because he does keep dying.
The part I saw is he sucks. Like his whole thing is that he leaves Ernest in the parking lot and then he gets him pulled over on Autopia and he's like, I've never seen this kid before in my life.
And it's almost funny, but it's also just kind of like, I want to see Ernest.
Well, it just makes me go like, oh, Ernest, I'm so sorry that you had this childhood.
Yeah, you had a bad childhood. But the kid that they get to play Ernest also is kind of just like a regular kid. It's like, there's no way that Ernest was a regular kid. So what happened to him?
This is what caused, this is what made Ernest Ernest.
He never even says, you know what I mean, as a kid or anything.
Yeah, all he had was the hat and the vest.
Yeah.
I do love looking at an IMDb page, though, that lists Charles Fleischer, Frank Oz, Dave Goelz, Jim Varney, DJ Jazzy Jeff, and Will Smith as the first 6 names.
Yeah. It's at the end, too. DJ Jazzy Jeff gets mentioned before Will Smith gets mentioned, which is kind of something.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, depending on the era, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was coming out this year, but later this year.
I mean, they were a thing.
Yes.
They were a team.
Yeah. Their album, at least one album had come out already.
I always thought it was nice that he brought DJ Jazzy Jeff with him on the show. And he's on the whole thing too.
Yeah. He's a recurring character.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, their hip hop duo name was technically DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Oh, and that's how they say it. So yes,
yeah.
Okay.
So that's what their albums would have been at the time.
Contractually obligated to say so, I would guess. Oh, that was Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, Charles Fleischer, who pops up throughout this as a Jungle Cruise skipper and a random Italian balloon salesman.
And he's in Woody's. So at the beginning of it starts out, I watch all of it. At the beginning of it, starts off in Cheers. Woody's like, can we watch the Disney special? All the people in Cheers say, fuck no, we're not going to watch the Disney special. Then he tells them a story about how he loves Disneyland because he went there as a child and he had to ride the Haunted Mansion by himself. And he's scared. And then a little girl comes up to him and says, I'll ride it with you. And then Charles Fleischer is the butler guy who like puts you on the Dune buggy, and he's doing like the spooky thing. And then at the end, she's a ghost. And she disappears as they leave the ride, and she's like, and she leaves like her ribbon behind, and she's like, I love you, kisses him, stuff like that. And then it goes back to modern day Cheers where he's not a child anymore. And they're like, oh, you rode the ride with a ghost. And then that's it. And they don't say like, Woody, that was a crazy story. No way that really happened. This special introduces the supernatural to the universe of Cheers.
But which I feel like for Woody is not that surprising.
Oh,
but I feel like they would have done more with it other than just be like, oh, weird.
Did you watch the Jungle Cruise part?
I did not. I watched the end of the Jungle Cruise part right before because it opens up the Muppet segment. It comes right after we see Tony Danza surrounded by a boa constrictor falling off of the Jungle Cruise boat, looking at the camera and saying, the Jungle Cruise, what an adventure. Yeah,
so Charles Fleischer was I was going to say, I didn't like him in this. And I didn't realize who he was. I was like, there's some annoying guy who keeps popping up through this whole thing.
That's what Bob Hoskins says in Roger Rabbit.
That's true. I would have been an Eddie Valiant kind of guy. I'd be like, get away from me. But I was thinking the whole time, like, you have Ernest, who is famously like a comedian of 1,000 faces. Why not just have him be like, why doesn't he play like his like Snake Wrangler character on the Jungle Cruise and like be his creepy persona on the Haunted Mansion? Whatever. That's beside the point. But the Jungle Cruise one, Tony Danza's standing in line for it, and Michael Eisner's like, Tony, you got to come host the special. And Tony's like, no, I'm going to ride the Jungle Cruise. And he rides it, and people actually die on it. Like, you see people die.
Like, they get eaten by a tiger or something?
You see a man be eaten by an alligator, and his arm is just floating in the water. And at the end, it's not even like at the end, it's like, Tony, wake up. You're right. You slept through the beginning.
Says, what an adventure.
Yeah, he watched a whole boat full of tourists get killed.
Wow, I thought the Gonzo and Cinderella part was a little bit like off model for Disney, being like, wow, I don't know if they would do that these days.
Yeah.
But they definitely wouldn't show people dying on the Jungle Cruise these days.
No, they die. It's quite strange.
Well, it's worth noting in this special, Kevin Carlson is the one puppeteering Gonzo for the majority of the special, with Dave Goelz dubbing the voice. Kevin Carlson is somebody we maybe mentioned before, but he worked as the primary puppeteer on The Muppet Show on tour in 1984, which seems to be sort of one of his earlier jobs, because he would also go on to puppeteer Conky, Clocky, and Flory.
Oh, a hero.
Yeah. And Timmy the Tooth.
Oh, wow.
And why we probably talked about him before, Mr. Potato Head on the Mr. Potato Head show.
Oh, no.
But boy, I feel like him and Charles Fleischer, I feel like just have something to talk about. I feel like their careers are so weird in not the same way, but I feel like the two of them could have a great conversation about their careers.
Look at Charles Fleischer was in Zodiac. He was in Back to the Future Part 2. He was in A Nightmare on Elm Street.
He was on Welcome Back, Kotter. He's just, Laverne and Shirley. That guy is just everywhere. And then he becomes Roger Rabbit, and then just continues to be Roger Rabbit on and off forever. Like, as recently as in the Chip and Dale movie just 4 years ago, he was Roger Rabbit.
Who is so interesting to me also because it's like, he was huge after that movie came out. Like, Disney was like,
he still has a ride at Disney.
Yeah, Disney was like, this is our guy. And then at some point they were like, gosh, his wife's tits are just really out, aren't they? We cannot associate ourselves with him anymore.
Yeah, that's why she wears a trench coat on the ride.
Yeah, they put a trench coat on her recently.
Somebody like sculpted her and they're like, no, I don't think we can do this. But what we focused on from this special is the Muppet segment, which opens up with C-3PO and R2-D2 talking some Star Wars nonsense. And it's revealed that what they're trying to do is set up a satellite feed to contact Miss Piggy. And boy, oh boy, do we get a bouquet of some of the best C-3PO lines you've ever heard.
This is so weird. Why did they do that at Star Tours? I guess they had Anthony Daniels.
Yeah, they had Anthony Daniels. let's not talk about the fact that this makes it seem like Anthony Daniels, the real C-3PO and R2-D2 are trapped forever in Star Tours. They cannot move from their spots.
They work there. Yeah.
But C-3PO's first line is, "I can't wait to see Miss Piggy. She's on location in Europe shooting her new film."
Honestly, if there was a Muppet special where C-3PO was Miss Piggy's personal assistant, I wouldn't even really think twice about it. Would you think anything of it?
No, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, and like I think the only thing that like in this that I expected to be something that wasn't is I thought for sure she was just going to be in like the Europe pavilion at Epcot or something. Like she was going to be in, the English pavilion or something.
Yeah.
And she's really lying saying she's in Europe. But it
that
seems
would've
like
been
maybe
fun.
she is actually working on a film because she has a
Right.
trailer.
She's got a trailer, yeah.
But then C-3PO drops another banger saying Gonzo should be on screen any second now. And then the piece de resistance here, C-3PO's line, "I'm most concerned about the absence of our host, Tony Danza."
This was the 90s, folks. This is what you're doing this kind of stuff all the time, I feel like.
You hadn't seen C-3PO since Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
It's 7 years later, and your boy is back to worry about Tony Danza.
Is this really the first thing he's been in since then?
Probably not. But I'm thinking
basically.
that nowadays, if you're making a Star Wars thing and C-3PO's not in it, something's wrong with you.
Right.
Back then, there wasn't as many Star Wars things, Sam.
Yeah.
So,
It probably, yeah. I mean, Star Tours was probably the first thing in a long time.
yeah.
And then the next thing was, I'm worried about Tony Danza. Where is he?
What's C-3PO been up to since Return of the Jedi? I wonder.
He's
like,
he's been working at an airport and he's hanging out with Tony Danza.
Yes. The things that would have happened between this, by the way, were Star Wars Droids, the
Oh, yeah.
cartoon.
And he was the voice of the character
Yes.
in that, yeah.
Star Tours, which was a few years before this, and an episode of Sesame Street.
Oh, yeah, right. Right.
So those are the places you would have seen C-3PO between Return of the Jedi and this was the Droids show, Star Tours, Sesame Street, and then missing Tony Danza.
But for a lot of people, this was the first time, and they were like, "Oh shit, it's that guy."
Probably, if they weren't watching Sesame Street, they didn't go to Disneyland to watch to ride Star Tours.
Man, but C-3PO and R2-D2, and R2-D2's like pulling her luggage, Miss Piggy's luggage around, and he's like, "Fuck this shit," and then C-3PO's like helping her like pick clothes out or something like that. That would rule.
The crossover event no one really asked for.
I think it would be fun. They should, yeah. They were like in Muppets at Walt Disney World instead of Bean Bunny being her little
yeah.
assistant.
But Bean Bunny could be inside R2-D2.
That's true. Oh, that would be really cute too.
Well, Tony Danza, thankfully, finally shows up. He's running a little late because he had to bring the 3 little pigs along to meet Miss Piggy. Gonzo pops up on screen where he goes and knocks on Piggy's trailer. She yells, "Get lost, creep. I'm waiting for Tony Danza." And Gonzo reveals that they are on the satellite feed right now, and Tony is here for her. He says, "Miss Piggy, do you have any special memories of Disneyland?" And she says, "Nope. Why?"
Yeah, I like that.
But then she remembers, "Oh, yes, there was a time before I realized my destiny was to be adored by millions of fans. I was like any other child." And we see a flashback.
To young Miss Piggy.
Yeah.
I mean, she looks the same, but also this is like the most background we've ever gotten on the character of Miss Piggy.
It's very funny because they dress her and a couple little girls like they're in the 50s.
Yeah.
But nobody else around them in the park is dressed like they're in the 50s because clearly they shot this in 1990.
Yeah, the balloon salesman's wearing like a very 90s like Star Wars or Star Trek looking outfit. Yeah, you're right.
Well, and I'm sure this parade wasn't happening in the 50s
No.
with those good costumes. But it does, are Woody and Miss Piggy the same age? Like if they're both their
Yeah.
childhoods and Ernest? Like Ernest,
They were
Woody, and Miss
all-
Piggy were all children hanging out at Disneyland at
They
the
were
same
all there
time.
the same day. Yeah.
But she tells us the story of how she sees Cinderella, and that's how she finds her purpose in life. She says, "I hear destiny calling." We run into Charles Fleischer with a thick Italian accent, who's hanging out in front of Splash Mountain and is a balloon salesman. She's like, "Hey, how'd you get that job?" And he's like, "That's not a job. That's Cinderella. Only Cinderella can be Cinderella." which is a weird kayfabe in this
Yes.
special where apparently people die on Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
Also, Disney has to keep the magic that Cinderella is just the real Cinderella.
There is something interesting about treating Disneyland like it's real, but it also kind of is creepy a little bit.
Well, but also you can get a job there. Some
But you
people
can.
are workers.
Yes, if you go up high at the castle, you can get a job there. Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody has to scrub the castle floors.
Uh-huh.
For Cinderella, who is
Which
real.
is, who is real. And this is a weird character to pick to have like a maid that she's not very nice to,
Mhm.
right? That's like
Yeah.
her whole thing.
Yeah. No, she doesn't always, remember where she came from kind of thing.
That's true. She's changed. I do
Yeah.
feel like Cinderella would be somebody who'd scrub her own floors. So she'd be like, I'm not making anybody else do that shit.
Well, she's got to be in a parade, Sam. She doesn't have time to scrub the floors.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Well, Piggy, in frustration, says, I wish I could be Cinderella. So, poof, Gonzo shows up here as a fairy god thing to grant her 3 wishes. She first says, I want to be Cinderella and be admired for my great beauty. And he's like, whoa, you're a pig. Which really counter to the Muppet Babies Gonzo we've come to know and love.
Right. He's not attracted to her.
Yeah,
Because those are clones who exist somewhere else.
that's right.
They're concurrent with what we're
Yeah.
seeing now.
It's like a multiplicity situation. The 6th version of Gonzo loves Miss Piggy.
Yeah. They're all horny for a different farm animal.
Notably, she doesn't say I wish about that one, though. The first I wish she says is,
Right.
I wish your nose would just blow up. So his nose does blow up. We see a great altered version of the Gonzo puppet with his face
Yeah.
just exploded. I feel like this is a similar look to Gonzo. I think it's in Muppets from Space, gets struck by lightning or something.
Yes. Do they sell a puppet of that? Like, were
They-
they selling
yeah.
the maquette or whatever?
Recently, that puppet went up for sale at auction. It was like a naked
Scary blown
Gonzo.
up Gonzo, who's naked. Yeah, he's naked too. Yeah.
So she says, I wish I hadn't said that. So his nose gets fixed. And then the last wish she cast is, I wish you'd be more serious. So boom, we get Gonzo in a suit, wearing glasses, acting kind of like a lawyer, says, that was your 3rd wish. Here's your receipt. Good day.
I thought this is a good duo. This is who she was with Gonzo in that Miss Piggy Takes Hollywood thing too, right?
Yeah. And I think it is a great duo. And I think especially in this, it's kind of like, again, the fiction of it is strange because he does pop up like as if he's a real fairy godmother.
Oh yeah, and then in the next scene, he's kind of just like her friend, right?
He's kind of just Gonzo, and she calls him Gonzo.
She calls him Gonzo. Yeah, I thought that was very odd.
Because the next thing after he gets serious is she threatens him and is like, you're going to help me catch Cinderella.
Yeah,
And so
she's
they
like
go off.
destroyed his power. He's not even a fairy anything anymore. He's just a
He's
guy.
not even the serious guy. Like
No,
he's just regular
Gonzo.
Gonzo.
Yeah,
So they set out to the parks to trap Cinderella. They set a snare trap, which Gonzo is going to pull. But he's too distracted by a couple of ladies.
oh yeah, I like this part.
He's like, hey, you ever date outside your species? The ladies walk away with Gonzo. The snare trap ends up catching Miss Piggy instead of Cinderella.
We got to make a trek to the tree where Miss Piggy was snared.
We probably did.
It's probably we probably did.
We were probably
saw it.
standing underneath it and didn't even know. We were in the presence of
Piggy.
greatness.
Hung by her ankle from this very tree.
So the next ruse they decide to pull is Piggy and Gonzo trying to convince Cinderella that Gonzo is a little lost boy who needs help. He's dressed in like a little sailor outfit with like a pinwheel
With like
hat.
a propeller hat, yeah, beanie.
Mm-hmm. And so they go up to Cinderella. They introduce the lost boy, and she's very happy to help. Takes off with Gonzo, says she's going to take him to the lost and found, and tells Piggy to please start the parade without me.
It's crazy that her plan works. This is like the first plan that's ever worked for any Muppet.
Yeah. And she even says in the narration, see, Tony, that summer I learned that fate had chosen moi to spend moi's life being worshipped and adored by the masses.
So she seemingly worked that whole summer as Cinderella.
Well, yeah, I guess Cinderella had to wait forever with Gonzo.
With Gonzo skeeving on her at the end there, too.
Because Tony asks, just one question, what happened to the real Cinderella? And we cut to Gonzo at a lost children bench sitting with Cinderella, who says, I wonder where your parents are. And Gonzo says, never mind them, let's talk about us. Is this thing with you and the prince serious? Can you see other people? Did anyone ever tell you you have great nostrils?
Skeevy Gonzo. Skeevy Kermit is bad to me, but Skeevy Gonzo is okay to me for some reason.
I think Gonzo is weird enough in every other part of his life that you can
Yeah.
kind of go, Gonzo. Like you don't
Yeah,
take him too
yeah.
seriously.
Right.
Whereas Kermit's like, hey, yeah, thanks for doing the show. This is great. Love having you here. Are you free for dinner later? And you're like,
Yes.
oh, this isn't really that thing, Kermit.
Yeah.
This is a business thing. And he's like, oh, what do you? I wasn't saying anything. I was just saying if you wanted to eat food, I'm going to eat food. You could eat food near me, you know.
Yeah. And Kermit would be like there would be the unspoken thing that maybe he could like help you further your career. Gonzo can't do anything for you.
No,
If
which
you
also people know. Yeah,
If you want to have the experience of making love with Gonzo, that is just a complete like.
That's where it ends.
Yeah,
Like,
you aren't.
You
getting
have made
anything
love
out
to
of that.
Gonzo. That's it.
On a fuck, marry, kill.
Nope.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Now I gotta know who the third one is, though.
Let's just say Fozzie.
Okay.
I think we've done this before.
No, we did it with Sir Didymus, Ludo,
Oh yeah.
and Hoggle.
I would kill Kermit.
Really?
I would fuck Fozzie and I would marry Gonzo.
Wow, that was
Yeah.
so fast.
Fozzie would be too annoying to marry.
You don't think Gonzo would be annoying to marry?
No, Gonzo would do the dishes. I'm so sure that Gonzo does housework. He wears slacks and he has to iron those slacks.
Somebody's buying that sweater vest, and I think
Yeah,
it's him
Fozzie's a
picking out his own
slob.
wardrobe. Fozzie's naked.
And Kermit, well, yeah, but he probably makes a big mess and he leaves dishes out and stuff like that.
I get, yeah, well, yeah, if you're going to have one of them, like, Gonzo's going to use the toilet. I can't necessarily say
Yeah.
Kermit or Fozzie would use the toilet.
Neither of them wear pants. So we don't really know what's going on with the
Hmm.
way that they go to the bathroom. It's totally right.
You might have it the right way around here.
You can be weird and be fastidious. And I believe that Gonzo is fastidious. And that's important to me. And I bet he's a generous lover too. Kermit is not a generous lover.
No. I agree with you. I think Fozzie would be, though.
I think Fozzie would be a okay.
So you maybe,
fuck,
I
you know?
think you maybe made the right choice.
Yeah.
Well, that's where this ends. The next scene after the Muppet thing, it cuts to Tony Danza outside of Splash Mountain celebrating the newest attraction opening up, which, sorry, Tony, ain't there no more.
No, not there anymore.
Notably, he does not say anything about Song of the South.
No.
Like,
And
they
it's-
knew.
I didn't really think about it until way later that they built this ride like in the late 80s.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Why didn't anybody think twice about this?
Well, because they had
They-
already not been selling or showing that movie. Like, they had already sort of wound
Right.
down the hype around Song of the South.
Yeah. They had a whole ride where they took most of these animals from America Sings, where a bunch of animals
Right.
sing songs. Why not just put the same animals in that ride and just call it Splash Mountain and just say, this is where all the critters live. You're going to go in their mountain. It's going to be fine. And you're going to fall down a cliff.
That does it for our, weird mixed bag Muppet week. That was surprisingly enjoyable.
Yeah, I had a good time. It was a weird one.
Yeah. I liked seeing our old pals. I even didn't mind seeing the Jim Henson Hour puppets doing something
Mm-mm.
interesting and weird.
No, there's something about it. And maybe it's just that like the quality levels going down or so. I don't know. There's something about it where I look back at fondness with almost everybody. Even if like the Wild Impresario popped up, I'd be like, hey, welcome back, buddy. Mm-hmm.
I think it's
Not
because
Farkas, though.
these are situations where you don't have to care that much because they're not within their own storytelling.
Right.
And so
Right.
someone can show up and it can be Leon being Leon that in this scenario, they used him in a way that makes sense.
Yes.
Whereas if Leon was just doing that to Kermit and Kermit was like, weird, and walked away, we'd be like, oh, fuck.
Jim, give
I
him
hate
something,
this guy.
Jim. Come on. Yeah.
So, Sam, gotta check in. What non-Muppet thing did you enjoy this week?
Hey, I went to the Odyssey last night.
That's what I was wondering about. What'd you think?
I thought it was. I was so surprised how much it was Christopher Nolan makes the Odyssey, especially like at the end when he's like, I have time to kick everybody's ass. Sorry, spoilers for the Odyssey. And then he does indeed kick everybody's ass. I was like, all right. But
When that scene kicked off, I like literally sat up in my seat like, oh shit, here we go.
it was fucking cool too. Yeah.
Because it's like a little slow before that in like an okay way.
Yeah.
So the moment that starts happening, you're like, oh, fuck.
But it's slow, but you do know the whole time he's going to come back and kick all those guys' asses. I was kind of like, I think it was fun to watch. I don't think I was like, it's not like my favorite movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the scenes where they were just like a bunch of little guys and like bad things were happening to them, like they're getting crunched and stuff like that. But the part, I won't spoil this part, but like the part where it puts like a modern perspective on the idea of the Trojan horse, and
Yeah.
he's like talking to Penelope about what he did, like his
Right.
experience there. I was weeping. I was like crying. And the way that it like contextualizes like Athena's part in it too, I was like, oh shit.
No, that part contains my favorite shot of the movie, which is a pretty innocuous shot, and I don't think this really spoils anything because it's a film school nerd thing. But basically, you hear the same story throughout the movie, like from like 5 different people,
right?
And every time they tell you this story, there is a same shot of Odysseus used, where he's sitting down on the steps of Troy, like looking over what he's done. And it's the exact same shot every time they're showing this montage of the Trojan horse scene. And then the very last time they show it is when Odysseus is telling the story of that. And they show him sitting down the steps. And it's a different take from a slightly different angle of that same shot. And so they've like ingrained it in your head that like, this is what happened. This is what happened. This is what happened. This is what happened. Like you've seen it identical like 4 or 5 times. And then Odysseus tells you and you're like, oh, that's how it happened.
Right.
Like that's his point of view. And it's like a little different from the way everyone else has told the story.
Yeah. That is cool. I don't think about that stuff as much as you do, but like
it was just like the 4th time I saw the shot. I was like, it's very purposeful that Christopher Nolan used the exact same shot multiple times. Like that has to mean something. And then when I saw it again and it was a different version, I was like, aha, it did mean something.
Yeah. And there were just so many little moments like that where it was like, man, this is like almost too clever by half. Like it's almost too much. But also at the same time, it's like only Christopher Nolan. Like it makes sense why Christopher Nolan wanted to make this movie. Like he read this book and he thought, oh yeah, the Trojan War is kind of like that kind of is fucked up.
Well, if I remember correctly, he was also originally he was attached to direct Troy.
Oh, interesting.
So it's been a thing that he's been fascinated with for a while.
Huh. It's worth seeing in theaters, absolutely. But I could also see it being fun watching. Like this will be like the dad movie, our dad movie. You know, it'll be like, we're sleeping on the sofa. The Cyclops is stomping people. Your daughter walks in and she's like, "Oh my god!"
I did have pretty much that exact same thought of like, I'm gonna love this movie. I'm gonna own it. And my daughter in the future is going to be like, oh, my dad's watching The Odyssey again.
Fucking corny ass movie, yeah.
I did. Speaking of like almost corny lines, there's a line from John Barenthal where he's like, you hear the story about the horse? And Tom Holland's like, yeah, of course I heard the story about it. He's like, from the inside.
Yeah, it's just like there's so many moments like that where it's like, this is a Christopher Nolan movie. I can't believe that he's putting all of these kind of Christopher Nolan things in this story. But I mean, everybody in it is like, at first there's some characters where you're like, why is that person playing this character? And then eventually you're like, oh, okay, that actually like Tom Holland actually does make sense as why he is playing this character. Or like
Robert Pattinson is so
good.
My
god, Robert Pattinson is my favorite actor. I love Robert Pattinson so much. Anyway, you should see it in theaters. It definitely, like, the theater was packed too. So anyway,
and Mr. Noodle from Sesame Street is in it.
Who is he in it?
He's the Cyclops.
He is?
Yeah.
Cool. The Cyclops is fucking scary.
Yeah. They apparently used a puppet for some of it on set.
That's what
and some of the interaction with like some of the hands and stuff.
Yeah.
But obviously if you've seen the movie, there's definitely scenes that aren't a puppet.
Yeah.
And they're apparently not also CGI.
Yeah.
So they filmed Bill Irwin on a set somewhere, green screen or whatever, and put him into the cave.
I also almost cried for him. I felt so bad for the Cyclops.
Yeah, that's fair. The Loud movie. Just everyone should know. It's the loudest movie you'll ever see.
It is. I think like if I looked at my phone, it would probably have said, "Hey,
get out of there.
Go somewhere else."
Yeah. Are you in a war?
When we walked in, I could hear one of the last scenes in the movie playing through the wall, and it was like shaking the whole like building.
No, so, the scene in the storm specifically, where you're just like, can we wrap this up, Chris? This is a bit much.
Yeah, totally.
And I understand that's what you're supposed to be feeling in that moment.
Yeah.
But it is a lot. And
it
was
is
like
kind of
It's like the moment in
Interesting.
the film where I was thinking too much about this is loud.
Yeah, me too. Exactly the same. I was like, I don't need one more scene of this.
Yeah.
Of this. Like this scene could be quiet and maybe that would make it more impactful or something like that. But anyway, good. I mean, obviously everybody loves this movie, so
Yeah.
I like
And
it
they're
too.
right to.
And they're right too. Yeah. How about you?
It's honestly been a pretty boring watching week, so I mostly just wanted to talk about the Odyssey with you. I've been watching more Defenders, and that's honestly about it.
Okay. And
Which
that's
is
probably
fine.
not that worth talking about.
No, I'm about halfway through the season, and it took way too long for all of them to like meet each other and talk about things. And I'm like, guys, we got half a season left, and you got a lot to solve here with Sigourney Weaver. So figure this shit out.
She's in that. You know, I feel like an idiot, but I am excited about Spider-Man. I feel like a mark for being excited about Spider-Man, but the trailer for it the trailer for it in the Odyssey was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, and I did just rewatch Spider-Man: Homecoming, which is good.
Yeah, I like that
And
movie.
Rewatching that did make me go, ooh, I want to watch these other two and get to that fourth one real quick.
I do. My dad was watching the Odyssey with me, and after every trailer, he'd like thumbs down something. Every movie, every trailer, he was like thumbs down,
Other
including
mommy?
that one. And then I was like, you don't like, come on, you don't like even like Spider-Man. And he was kind of like, oh, maybe I kind of like Spider-Man. Everybody likes Spider-Man.
How did you react to the other mommy trailer?
My mom jumped out of her
Yeah,
seat.
that's fair.
How
did your other mommy do? Was she okay?
She was fine.
Yeah.
She was scared during the parts that were nice. So
She was cackling during the other parts.
Yeah, I think that movie looks kind of good though.
Looks, I mean, creepy as hell.
Yeah, it looks creepy. You shouldn't have a big loud jump scare like that in your. Where old people, every old person in the Americas in the theaters. Are we trying to kill them all? What's going on here?
I mean, I think it has done a great job of marketing that movie because I saw so many people who saw the Odyssey talking about the other mommy trailer.
When that trailer started, I was like, oh, fuck, this is the really scary trailer.
Well, and that's the thing is everyone also is saying like, they're giving you warnings of like when you see Jessica Chastain, prepare or walk out of the theater or whatever. And I'm like, that's the best marketing that movie could ask for because now everyone's going, I gotta see this.
The jump scare wasn't actually that bad. It was to me, but
my favorite is
mom
people
did
sharing
jump.
the freeze frame out of context, and it looks very silly out of
It
context.
does, yeah,
But
It
when
looks
you're
like-
watching it, very scary. Well, speaking of fun times at the theater, gotta let you know what we're watching next time. And Sam, it's just one thing.
Oh my god!
It is the 1990 Angelica Houston film, The Witches.
Oh, it's one weird, fun thing.
Yeah. We've heard a lot about the production of this one as we were reading through Jim's Red Book of all the Roald Dahl complications and how they filmed multiple endings to be a happy ending or a sad ending. And yeah, we'll see how it all turned out. If you are, by the way, looking at a timeline or anything like that and being like, wait a minute, The Witches didn't come out in February of 1990. It did, kind of.
In England or something?
Weirdly, it came out in like Orlando and like San Francisco and like 3 cities as sort of like a test case.
Oh, they were not confident about it.
It doesn't seem like it because it didn't open widely until August of 1990.
It's a perfectly normal movie, I would say.
I think so.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we are watching it in the timeline of when it was first released to a few theaters, but not necessarily when it was widely released. So if you look up The Witches, it says released in August of 1990, but dig a little deeper, it'll say where it was released in February of 1990.
I hope there are that many people who are scrutinizing us that closely.
I don't think there are because I think there are, if anything, there are more people who would be like, you guys don't have to watch The Witches. And I'd say, shut up.
Somebody who emails you every time that you do something like this. Matt, you dumb bastard.
Why are you adding things to your list? There aren't Muppets in The Witches. But yeah, we will be watching The Witches, which is a movie that it was an accident and it fried my brain as I was saying it. Which is a movie that if I've seen it maybe once in my life a long time ago.
I watched it recently I watch a movie with my friends on Zoom every Wednesday. We watched it probably a year ago.
All right.
I enjoyed it. And I think we should watch it because Jim was really involved with the making of it, right?
Right. And that's another reason why I wanted to include it in this pre-Jim's passing selection of things, along with some of the other stuff he worked on. So yeah, next week, We're watching The Witches.
First time we've watched a movie in a long time, I feel like.
Somehow, it has been since episode 149, it looks like.
Whoa.
Back in August of 2024 is the
What
last
the
time
hell?
we watched a movie.
Stop. Okay. I shouldn't have. I don't want to think about.
We were
my
in the middle of
mortality
Fraggle
this
Rock
much.
season 5
What
when we
the
watched
hell?
Little Shop of Horrors.
And look at
And I
us
think
now.
the only thing we've watched since then is TV shows and like the
Wow.
occasional like Big Bird in Japan special and stuff. But
Yeah.
I don't think we've watched a movie since Little Shop of Horrors. So we got to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for all commitment needs. And, rate, review, comment, thumbs up, tell your friends, tell your mom about this podcast. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can do so at mail@commitment.com or follow us on the social media at commitmentpod or at commitment.com on Blue Sky, where you can also follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.